love you, Scottie.
Never miss. Sing? I thought we were shooting a photograph.
No, it's a video.
Hey, Scottie. Hey, may flights of angels sing thee to thy rest, dear beloved friend. Oh, death, where is thy sting-a-ling-a-ling? Oh, grave, where is thy victory? The bells of hell go ting-a-ling-a-ling for you, but not for me. That's it.
Love you, Scottie. Love you, Scott.
Okay. So that's
this will not be. This is. So I love what's happened here. This is so great to see everyone spending time together. We're Scott's collection. We're Scott and Ariane's collection, and it feels so good to be together. And I know some of you are meeting for the first time, and some are good friends. My name is Bernie Dagenet, and been Scott's friend for, I guess, 35 years or so, and really happy to be here helping out today, helping Ariane and the family. And I know they really appreciate you being here. There's a couple things I'll say. I mean, at this point, I really want to turn this over to Ariane and have you hear from her and some other family members. There's some things I want you to make sure you know, and there's some cards over there. There's some of Scott's art you can take with you. And there are cards that you can fill out, you can leave for the family. I actually did mine here for you. So the wildest thing I ever did with Scott was learn to scuba dive, so just so I could hang out with him. Once I went with Scott to St. John for scuba diving. There's a theme there. Yeah, I learned scuba dive to go to St. John with Scott. My favorite meal with Scott was at Cashin's at the bar, of course. And one thing I would like Scott's family to know is he would love this. So get some cards and fill them out before you go. Leave your messages. I'd like to turn it over to Ariane to share some words.
Hello. Big Scott, hello. All right. So I'm going to read directly from this so I don't screw it up. I am definitely overwhelmed to see all of you here today. And if I haven't already told you this, it's amazing. Because in the middle of COVID, you all came here safely to celebrate him. I'm overwhelmed at the losses that we've all suffered this year and last year, which Scott felt very sharply as his friends fell one by one. Friends that were so close it was unfathomable. I'm frankly overwhelmed with grief that we have to have this gathering because it means he's not physically here to drink with us today and put his arms around everybody. When he was in the hospital, he had a lot to say. And the thing that I want to share with you is that he said repeatedly that he wanted to spend time with you, each of you individually, an entire day, not just going to a party, but spending time talking to you and catching up and rekindling that friendship and that connection. He didn't have that chance. And so as we gather here today to see those who we see a lot and those who we see not as often or have lost track of, I encourage you to exchange numbers and make plans to see each other again and not to lose track of each other. Our friendships are too important. I'm going to share some things with you that I think Scott would have told you. To my family, I love you so much. I wish I had spent more time with you. And my greatest regret in life was the way I left Ohio and the time that I missed with you. To my fellow bartenders and service workers, we are all part of a club, a special camaraderie that can only be understood if you're in the business. The long hours, the patience, and as he called it, the reservoir of goodwill that it takes to deal with our beloved customers and friends as they sink deeper and deeper into their cups. And the constant host in life that was the work that he made for us, or maybe naturally being that lifelong host made us successful in this work. To my fellow divers, the sea has given me some of my favorite and best life moments, and you've been there with me every fin of the way. The adventures I have had with you are the memories I hold the closest, that bring me peace and keep me dreaming of the next dive with anticipation of that feeling of flying through the water like Superman suspended in the air. To my business partners and my in-laws, Shari and Joel, and my employees past and present, you helped me live my best life. The achievement of my dreams is because of you, and the distance I traveled as an entrepreneur is because of your faith in me and your love for me, and your never-ending support for me as I tried to share what I loved best in this world with you and with the public and my wife. To the people who supported my art, to the gallery owners, to the editors of papers, and to those who came to my shows and those who have pieces of my work, you fed my dreams and my soul. You made me feel that my words and thoughts were of value and were funny and timely and worth the public seeing. You made me feel seen and you made me feel heard. To the musicians who played with me in Stick and Move, I thank you for every moment we shared on that stage. I thank you for letting me play things you hated, and I thank you for playing the things that we loved together. And I thank you for letting me let my hair down and for reuniting for our show a few years ago. And to the musicians who allowed me to attend their shows, I love your passion for playing, and I listened to every note, and I did not talk while you played. I promise you. To the friends who went to concerts with me, and to those who always thought of me at the last moment for tickets, and I am looking for you, Jackie, and for you, Mark Schlegel. I thank you for every moment. I thank you for always wanting those moments with me and knowing that I was always ready to go with you. And to the friends who traveled the world with me, you understood my need to roam, to not just read about history, but to go there and to touch it, and the fact that nothing could or should stop me from doing that. And I thank you for going with me and for spending those moments with me when my imagination put together what I knew from books and painted it on this landscape I saw once we arrived there, taking me magically right back into history. And Johnny, I thank you for putting up with my travels, and then for joining me for one of my best trips of my life, the magic of which never failed to bring a smile to my lips. To my sports buddies, those who went with me to the Nationals and Redskins games, those who went with me to the games in every city I ever visited, and who put up with me not telling me what the score was while I waited for the buffer to build up on my recorder. I thank you for not spoiling the surprise. And to my fellow foodies, I'm going to miss breaking bread with you and raising a glass with you and sniffing my Calvados with you. And I'm going to miss Tom's meat, or is it Pam's meat and Tom's grilling? I'm going to miss Sarah's creativity with ethnic cuisines and her heavenly desserts. And I'm going to miss all the time that we spent talking as food simmered and sizzled and smoked. And to the people who were in my fitness world, the bike riders, the gym trainers, and those who body pumped alongside of me, I loved that you inspired me. I love that you kept me young until the last moments of my life, and you helped me to feel young always. To my community of Adams Morgan, to all who live here and work here and who live unhoused on the streets here, you were my life and my joy. The people who I saw every day for decades and who made me feel connected and embraced and part of something so much larger than I could imagine. a community of people who truly love and care and support each other. And if you fall into none of the groups I have just mentioned, please know that I'm going to miss you, because you were my friend and you accepted me for who I was, and you loved me unconditionally and always made me feel good and close to you and happy to see you. You were all my tribe, and I will miss you so much, more than you could ever know. And I thank you for being here today. And that is what Scott would say. What I would like to say is, thank you all for being here and for being my village and supporting me as he left. I could not have done this without you. Those of you who text and who call and who hug and who wave, I am so grateful. Thank you all.
So we're all doing push-ups later, right? 200 every day, says Ariane. Yeah, he was only doing 100 when I first met him, but he got up to 200. So I know that I'm sure all of you have had a chance, but if you haven't had a chance to go see, go look at the website that Ariane and the family put together, and all the photographs, and to see all the family members. You get a chance to look at that even on your phone today, and just try to make a point of saying hi and maybe telling people how you knew Scott. I think that would be something that would be valued. Next up, we're going to hear from Scott's daughter, Simone Bennett Deloche, who I had the privilege of meeting just about a month ago, and I feel really fortunate to have had that opportunity. And now those of you who haven't had a chance to meet Simone are going to get to meet her now. So please welcome Simone.
Thanks, Bernie. No pressure, right? So I'm going to try to get through this the best I can. I just want to say what a beautiful, intelligent, and just great group of people that you are. And as I say, birds of a feather flock together. So I don't know you, but I know my dad. And if he liked you, I like you. And you are all just beautiful people. And he would just love to see all of you here today. And I'm going to do my best to keep it together. But anyways, as Bernie said, yeah, my name is Simone Bennett Deloche, and Scott was my dad. And I want to thank you all for being here, because I know a lot of you traveled far. We came up from St. Petersburg, Florida. We have some other friends here from Florida, and I know some, shout out for Texas, and I know there's a lot of people from other places, and I've had such a pleasure getting to know all of you, and I know he would have loved to seen you all together, because one of the things that I think gave my dad such joy was connecting people. So if there is somebody here that you don't know, just know that you're really awesome, and he would have liked to introduce you. So please say hello to somebody if you don't already know him. I just want to say also thank you to Ariane, that she made my dad happy for so many years. She was the yin to his yang, you know, and they just were just great partners together in life and best friends, and I couldn't ask for a better stepmother, and she's been very kind to me as well. Yay! And wouldn't be here today if not but for the strength of my husband, Rep, and you'll hear from him later. He's been my rock, and he's helped me pull it together, barely. I'm still hanging by a thread, but we're going to get through this. He's amazing as well. And I want to thank my little baby sis. Her name's Liz. She checked you in, and she went and found the name tags and did all that good work. We have the same mother. It wasn't my dad's daughter, but he treated her just like family. And I think that he treated you all like family too. So you are all an extension of the Bennett family. I want you all to know that. So thank you. So my dad was a multi-talented person that engaged in many different roles. He was a loyal friend, a people connector, as I mentioned. He was an artist, musician, hospitalitarian, entrepreneur, diver, Epicurean, But there's one lesser known role that I'd like to share some insights into that he played just a little bit more privately. It wasn't as public, and that was as a father to me and my sister, brother to Cindy, she's here, uncle to Kia, Sam, and Max, they're here, and grandfather to Nick and Alex. You know, I always thought of my dad as a rock star, not just because he was in arguably the greatest rock and roll band in the world. I love it. It's just, I love his humor. But because he was bigger than life, and he just felt immortal to me, you know? Had him up on a pedestal, and I was a super fan. Let me tell you, I just worshiped the ground he walked on. So, anyways, yeah. So, although we lived apart, the time that we spent was absolutely quality, and I soaked up every single minute of it. And he shaped me to be the person I am today, and I know I am a better person for it. His work ethic, his honesty, and just being a good friend, that all, you know, was such an impression. So, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of those inspirations and that, and you know, this music, and bravo to the band today. That was so good. My dad would have loved it. It was so good. But as you know, music was so important to my dad. It was so important to him that it became my namesake. And some of you might not know, my name is Melissa, after Sweet Melissa by the Allman Brothers. Where's Billy? There's Billy. We've got 2 Allman Brother t-shirts if there's any. And my older sister's named Jessica, which is an Allman Brothers song as well. He also named me Simone, which is my middle name, which I go by because that was after his favorite jazz singer, Nina Simone. So everything from our names, it was just such a big part of who he was. So I gained an early passion for music as well from my dad's, and just to share one of my fondest memories is when I was just 5 years old dancing around his house listening. He got the new album of Zenyatta Mendata by the Police, and I just loved it because I'm 5 and there's the nonsensical lyrics of the do-do-do and the da-da-da, and to this day I'm a huge Police and Sting fan. We went to concerts together, and just to share a funny little story is anytime I would go to concerts or dinner with my dad, Ariane's phone would ring because they would say, "Ariane, who's this mysterious woman with your husband?" I'm like, what? So just so you know, Ariane, you have a faithful group of people that are always looking out for you to ensure my dad never cheated, and he didn't. But I thought that was comical. And I'm like, but don't we look alike? Isn't that kind of weird? Anyways, later in life, I was able to turn him on to bands, and that was something that was really important to us, is sharing music. And then my dad and I, we also bonded over films, and when there was streaming coming out, you know, obviously we're talking about Netflix and all that good stuff, we always loved the same movies. We were always cracking jokes about Spinal Tap and whatever. I mean, we just really were very similar. And, you know, I caught my wanderlust from my dad too. You might not know this, but he went on 2 European book tours. And so I was always curious about other cultures. Also, as an artist, he was inspirational and opened my eyes to the art world early on. His natural talent is a skilled draftsman. And please take any of the postcards that we designed over there. Help me follow a career in the arts as well. So, in closing, I just want to say I feel so grateful for as much time I had with my dad, and I would be lying if I said that it was enough, because it was quality over quantity. Of course, I wanted more time. We all did. I miss him terribly, and I honestly feel I had the coolest dad. And he always showed up for my family, whether it's a wedding, graduation, any type of celebration. So in closing, I just want to say thank you for showing up for my dad, and that I know you all have your Scott stories, so I appreciate your patience for listening to some of mine. And thank you all for being here. I welcome you and look forward to getting to know you. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you. So this portion of the program is not going to last all day. We're going to have the opportunity to talk with each other again. But I would like everyone to be quiet for this portion of the program today, out of respect for Scott and his family and his friends you'll be hearing from shortly. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Next up, Scott's brother-in-law, Joel. Shh! I told you I was going to shush you. Shh. Thank you. Scott's brother-in-law, Joel, is unable to be here today to provide some remarks. But his son-in-law, Rep Deloche, Simone's husband, is here to share some words. He stepped up. So I'd like to introduce Rep to say a few words. Come on up, Rep.
Thank you, Bernie, and thank you, Ariane and Simone, you know, for doing all this, because we know it's all tough. And so as mentioned, my name is Rep Deloche. I'm Scott's son-in-law, married to my fabulous wife, Simone. And I'm here on behalf, basically, Joel was a very close to Ariane and Scott, and unfortunately he couldn't be here, so they asked me to step in and spread my vast realms of wisdom to everyone here in a highly and entertaining and efficient manner. So let's be realistic. It's hard to be here. It's good to be here. It's hard to be here. We all lost someone important to us, and it's more than difficult to speak about a great man whose time came entirely too early. I can just hear Scott in my head, and I'm not going to do great at his impersonation here, but you know, what would Scott be saying? He was saying, "That was such bullshit." You just hear it echoing. You know, it was bullshit, and it is bullshit. You know, he lived a life so desired by so many. As a real Renaissance man, we get to hear all of his interests and all the people that are here. And having touched lives in so many ways. And let's be, there's not that many people on this planet, I think, that'll have a great turnout and so much love and stories that we all got to experience when we were living with Scott. While there's mourning going on and mourning yet to be had, we're also here to celebrate a great man who brought so many people together and is still doing so to this day. As a part of the celebration, I am reminded of Bilbo Baggins' birthday speech for the Fellowship of the Ring. Scott was a Tolkien fan, as y'all know, and I'm sure he agreed with the sentiment that not all who wander are lost. So now I need a little bit of an interactive portion of today. So in the vein of Bilbo's 111th birthday, I would like to welcome all of you here. Can I get a cheer from the people who knew him from his many interests? Can I get a cheer for the people who knew him from the restaurant world? Who here knew him from the music world? There's going to be some overlapping. You can cheer. Sports fans. Who here had a sip or two of Calvados with Scott? All right, that's the great majority. I think there are a few people that went diving with Scott, right? I'm jealous I never got to do that. Anyone here got to take an amazing bike tour of DC with Scott? Anyone here has ever been to a nude beach with Scott? I missed that one too. Who knew here from the art world? All those amazing Renaissance fair, I understand. I've seen some pictures. I took a body pump class with Scott. Anyone else? I couldn't keep up. He's a tough act to follow. We know that there's a lot of people who just knew him from being the unofficial mayor of Adams Morgan. So people just knew him from the neighborhood and being the wonderful Scott that he was. And then obviously there's his family, the family that are here, such wonderful people that we get to know. So raise your hand if you're part of the Scott's family. All right. All of us, really. Official and unofficial, right? I was lucky enough to join Scott's world through marrying his lovely daughter. You know, Scott got to walk Simone down the aisle at our wedding. Yes, she was. You know, marrying into a family can be a mixed bag. As it said, you know, you could choose your friends, you can't choose your family. But choosing in my amazing wife, I got to grow a relationship with a man that so many love with so many interests, who was interesting, cool, smart, well-read, traveled, funny, entertaining. I mean, these are all the things that you know as a part of Scott's world. But I got lucky enough to marry into it and get to enter into that life and make me a better person. He was family, but he was also a friend that got to choose to be lucky enough to know. One amazing aspect about Scott, among others, is what his brother-in-law Joel said. You know, Joel described what Scott had as what's called Scott's luck. Scott's luck is wherever he went, if you were lucky enough to be in his sphere, you just knew that something good, something fun, something amazing or unforgettable was going to happen. And we're all a part of Scott's world. And all the things that we've got to experience with him and to know and love and share, we're all here because of that. We all have some of Scott's luck here. What is life if not having new experiences? And this man was just about the best at creating new experiences, meeting new people with his outgoing personality. The luck that he attracted by bringing people in his orbit, we're all better for it. We're all better for knowing Scott and having him in our lives. And it's great for me to celebrate a family member who I loved, but was also a friend who I wanted to have in my life. So thank you all very much.
Great job, Rep. Great job. Thank you, Simone and Rep. Sean Waterman, you're up. Come on up. Let's give Sean a round of applause.
You know, we've all waited a long time for this, or I have anyway, and you know, we're going to get through it, but it's going to be tough for me. You know, I don't remember the first time I actually met Scott any more than I remember the first time I saw the Washington Monument. When I arrived in DC at the end of the 90s, they were both just there, always just there. You know, in Scottie's case, of course, at the bar of Cashin's, and which, you know, was in those days one of a small group of what I used to think of as grown-up bars in Adams Morgan, as opposed to the one for drunken children. But I do remember, well, I used to go to those ones as well, but I do remember the first time that Scott met me. The first time, in other words, that I think I really registered on his radar and was invited to take the first few steps into Scott's world, right? To join that seemingly ever-expanding circle of friends and acquaintances in orbit around the star, in orbit around that source of warmth and light and love that was Scott Bennett. So I was in the bar at Cashin's with a couple of friends who'd spent the previous decade working with the ANC in South Africa, and who at one point, you know, broke into Afrikaans. And Scott just joined in. Now, he didn't actually speak Afrikaans, but he had a little Dutch, and, you know, they're basically the same language, and Scott, who loved communication and conversation, just joined the chat like he'd been doing it all his life, you know, which of course he had, because that was Scott, you know. He was fearless and humble, never too scared to try something new, always, as his daughter said, always seeking new connections, to make new connections himself between the people that he knew, meet new people, visiting new places. And an evening out with Scott always blossomed with possibilities. I remember one occasion when he invited a group of random Russians back to his apartment after the bars had closed, and or the time that we shut down the bar at Ruth's Chris singing the Monty Python Philosopher's Rugby song. There's a million memories. I want to finish by reading a poem, or part of one. Shelley's eulogy for his fellow poet John Keats is 55 stanzas long and will take almost an hour to read all the way through, so I won't do that. But I've picked one of my favourite verses. So in this poem, Shelley is eulogising Keats in the form of a classical hero, in this case Adonais, who seems to be a combination of the Greek demigod Adonis and the Hebrew hero Adonai. It's very over-the-top romantic lyricism, but that's how I'm feeling today. Oh, weep for Adonais, he is dead. Wake, melancholy mother, wake and weep. Yet wherefore? Quench within their burning bed thy fiery tears, and let thy loud heart keep, like his, a mute and uncomplaining sleep. For he is gone, where all things wise and fair descend. Oh, dream not that the amorous deep will yet restore him to the vital air. Death feeds on his mute voice and laughs at our despair.
Thank you, Sean. That was incredible. Billy.
Stop. Thanks, everybody. So, for some reason, somebody told me that I had to do this in 3 minutes.
Are you on a schedule?
What with that? So interesting story comes out of this for me. I'm not going to hold any candle to any of these folks that have spoken so eloquently. So I'm going to kind of go about this the way Scott asked me to. When we bought the lodge together, he said to me one time, when it was he and I driving back and forth, he said, you know, our women are our strengths. We love them very much. But you have to admit, these are the best road trips when it's just you and me. Laughing like a little schoolgirl next to me. Well, on those trips, a whole lot of things happened. We would play music, play air guitar, and sing with reckless abandon like nobody was watching. We thought we were pretty good. We would listen to books on tape. We would talk about history. I mean, amazing mind he had, the history, the way he can tell you moments and battles from BC periods of time. But he'll forget what you ordered for dinner. And when he walked up to us, it's true. Or worse still, he would come up to you in the middle of one of our family dinners, and he'd tell you the same joke like 4 freaking times at night, and completely forget about it, to the point where people would be turning and looking at me, Billy, is he messing with me? I mean, or is this? No, he actually forgot. It's the truth. He really did. But one of the times when we had just brother time and we just would talk, he said to me, he goes, listen, he said, I want to talk to you about something very serious. It's about you and me leaving this plane of existence. And I just looked at him and I said, well, I am selfish about this. I would prefer to go first because I wouldn't want to bear the burden of my loss. And the selfish bastard beat me to it. So here I am. Here we all are. But he said something to me. He said, look, he goes, knowing our girls, they'll put something on big. And I mean, look at this. And just, man's larger than life. And yeah. So he said, look, he goes, you got to make me a promise if I'm first. And I said, okay, you know, whatever you say, whatever you want. And he said, look, he says, people are going to cry. Don't make anybody cry for me. Come up to him. He goes, you walk right up to him. You do you yell at him. You smack him. You do whatever you got to do. And I said, well, come on, man. I mean, this is you, Scott. You know how many hundreds of people that's going to be? I mean, it's not possible. So he said, all right, he goes, just make sure everybody laughs and tells stories. I mean, I'm you know, an easy target. You guys all got to have some stories. So on that, I'm just going to leave you with a couple of quick stories about our beloved Scott. the lodge. One spring we have a buddy up, a fellow barman here in town, and he wants to do a little fishing. So we go down to our lake, and I put him in a, this man was a Jameson's drinker. I think a couple of you might know, I like the Grand Marnier, and a couple of people might know that Scott likes the Calvados. So we went to the liquor store. We got 3 of each bottles. Put our buddy in the kayak, put his gear on around him, put his bottle of Jameson between his legs, sent him out. Scott he says, let's take the canoe. Let me take the canoe. Let me take the canoe. And I said, okay, we'll take the canoe. So I put all of our gear in. I put Scott's Calvados bottle. I said, I'm going to be in the back because I'm going to steer. You be in the front. Put his Calvados bottle down. I took my seat, put my bottle in between my legs, and I said, you know how to do this, right, Scott? You can push the boat off and how to get inside. And he's like, yeah, man, come on, of course. I know how to do this. He proceeds to push the boat into the water and roll it over. So I am in the water up to here with my head and my hand on the bottom of the lake floor, watching hundreds and hundreds of dollars of fishing gear floating away. Worse, the bottles. The bottles, people, the bottles. So I'm standing there and I'm hanging out, and I look up, and the inn that sits on the lake, that are our neighbor, not only is the owner, who is this mean curmudgeon of a woman, but the guests are all, look at these jokers, look at this, and they're laughing. So, if I may embellish, I have to relinquish. I got to climb out. I'm in the water. I get out. People are laughing at us, everything else, and Scott's going, "Jeez, man, you know." And I looked at him and I said, "Are you kidding me? You are a fucking Native American. You invented the canoe. Come on. Jeez. Ridiculous." My final story for you all. Another great Scott story on the water. We do a thing every year. We're a group of guys called Ye Men of the Float, and we float the Antietam Creek every year. We got a good crew of guys get in our kayaks and go. Well, this one year we went a little too late in the season. The water was too low in the Antietam, so the guides put us on the Potomac. So we're out and we're on the Potomac, and we get downriver, and there's this beautiful island, and it has this beautiful magnolia tree with this big shaded area. So we all tucked in underneath there, and we went up to have our lunch. Well, my beloved Michael Cook and my beloved Scott Bennett are nowhere to be found. And I mean, they're gone, and we can see way up the river. We can't find them anywhere. So all of a sudden, I'm keeping my eye out on the point of this island, and I look, and I'm like, I see them, guys. Here they come. So we go, and it's like, man, they're paddling awful close together. What's going on here? So imagine this handsome gentleman right over here. He is towing Scott because Scott has lost his paddle. It's a kayak, people. You need a paddle, all right? So, this man's going to speak here in a second. Just look at this handsome fella, and he comes. Well, he comes and he paddles in, and Scottie can't see him because he's behind him, and he's got this contorted look of frustration and fury on his face. And Scott is sitting in the kayak behind him, tied to Michael's kayak, and he's going, "This is great! This is fantastic!" And he's just standing there doing this, and Michael is dragging his ass all over the Potomac River to get him in there. Conclude the story. A whole half a day goes by, and we're way, way, way downriver, and we stop on these rocks, drink a beer or whatever, and all of a sudden I go, "Hey, look!" And in the middle of the river, God's honest truth, in the rapids, is Scott's paddle perfectly pinned against the rock with the water going down both sides. I mean, it's just, you can't do this, people. Scott's luck. Scott's luck. That's what it was. So today, everybody, tell stories that make yourselves laugh. Do not cry. This is about a celebration of our boy. I love you all. Thank you.
right. So my basic rule of the day is I'm following Ariane's instructions, and she, yeah, so Ariane asked, we're going to have some more remarks, but if people would like to in the back kind of start to chill and talk amongst yourselves, we're going to be okay with that. But we're going to start turning it over to some people. Ariane. I'm following Ariane's instructions.
I just want to say, come up anytime you want, share a Scott story, do a dance, sing something crazy, have a good time. You should have just the best party, because that's what he would want you to do.
Great. So I know that Michael Cook wanted to share some words. Give him a round. Yeah. Do this one. Yeah, okay.
Well, following Billy long in the tooth is definitely going to be a hard follow-up, but I will do my best. We gather here today, bound together by sorrow and loss. We share a precious gift. We have all lived a life that has been touched by Scottie. I look around and see how much he's meant to so many. I look around and I see your legacy, Scott. Scottie had a gift to bring good people together, and look at his finals opus. He's brought us all together again. What a fitting tribute to our friend Scott. He was truly one of a kind. He had his own vocabulary, full of Scottisms, brilliant, seizure, belle of the ball, and of course to be continued, that we love to hear him say. I personally cannot hear The Who without thinking of Scott and his ringtone. He loved to laugh, and what a contagious laugh he had. He loved Man on a Buffalo. John Stasio, where are you at? Find Stasio for the Buffalo story. He loved telling the same jokes over and over and over. He loved telling the same 10 jokes over and over and over and over, and we love to hear him. His delivery, facial expressions, and his sheer joy of telling the joke made every time a joyful first. What smellier than an anchovy was always a favorite. I miss you, Scottie. I met Scott over 30 years ago drinking on a fake ID when he tended bar at the Cafe La Track. Over 30 years, we've had too many great times to count, ranging from the legendary parties thrown at the Legation House, all the stick and move concerts, 30 years of birthday parties, kayak trips, and swimming a channel on St. John with Johnny Fox. Now, I know a lot of you know one another, but for those who don't, without Scottie making the introduction and backstory like you would at the bar, I invite you all to share your Scottie stories with us. The afternoon is young. When this portion of the memorial service is over, please find Scott's family and tell him how much this great man has meant to you. With that, I turn the microphone over to Tom Cook. Tom Cook.
There's so many Scott stories, it's hard to pick one. But I'm going to pick this one. So Scott and Ariane, they invited us to their precious The Grill. And to the place that they love so much, Samsara, which I began to refer to as base camp, because it was really camping when you think about it. And for New Year, so we were having a great time. And his infectious need to persuade me to get the dive got me to go do it. I'm petrified. I have no desire to do this. But Scott's going, I got you. So I go and to the resort, we do the training in the pool. I fail miserably. I can't get water out of my mask. I'm like, it's just like horrible. Scott got it. I got you. All right. So he persuaded the instructor to pass me enough so we can get on the boat and go. So we're going out, and of course, it's my first time. Waves, wind, people throwing up in the boats. I'm like, oh shit. So we get in the water, and I got it immediately. Ariane said it. Superman swimming in the air. I mean, it's just fantastic. And so Scott, who was going to be my buddy to make sure I was okay, had to become my border collie because I'm just going wherever the fuck I wanted. And Scott is like trying to keep me, rein me in. And then after a minute, he points down and says, let's dive down. I'm like, okay, cool. Ocean floor, like, oh my God, first time out, I'm going to the ocean fucking floor. Great. So we go down there, and it's a lobster trap that has jailed an octopus. So I grab the trap, and Scottie figures out the trap door. The octopus escapes, and Scottie gave me that. So we swim back up to the boat, and the thing I loved about this story more than anything else is that it's another example of one of the great life lessons that Scott taught us all the time. Life is about having fun, doing good, in that order. That was Scott for me.
I am woefully unprepared for this. We got the call kind of last minute to come do the music for this, so I didn't want to screw up the music. It's Scottie's big event, so I wasn't thinking a lot about what I wanted to say. But what I want to say to Scott and for Scott is that I love you, brother. You had the biggest heart. We had people are going to tell a lot of Scottie stories. When I met Scottie, we already had everything in common. I mean, we immediately just started going, you know, playing music together, diving together, going to ball games together. I mean, Ariane was really excited because I don't drink. And she was like, oh, this is great. You can go out with Scott and not drink. So I was like, yeah, that'll work. So Scottie kind of looked at me sideways like, okay, I guess we can do that. But Scottie turned me on to some of my favorite things. Samsara was just mentioned. I was there with him once. That's where he turned me on to ackee and saltfish. You know, he was definitely a gourmand, and he knew the best things to eat in the best places. This was like a gut punch, and it still is. Scottie was one of my best friends, and I'm gonna really miss everything that we got to do together. He just had the biggest heart in the world, and you know, everything that we did just became fun and magical just because we were with Scott, and that's the kind of energy he had. So, you know, brother, this sucks. I mean, this really sucks. I'm gonna miss you, and I love you.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Okay. Is all right now? Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Pierre. From La Fourchette. You remember La Fourchette? Ouais, okay. Listen, Scott was a good friend for many, many years. And the thing is with him, he loved sweet bread. So he came to my place once every day to eat sweet bread. And one day the doctor told him, that's not good for your health. So he stopped eating sweet bread. Then he loved skatefish. Skatefish, and his wife was very sick. And he said, Pierre, can you fix a skatefish for my wife? I said, sure. So I bring the skatefish to her place, which he was next door, and she enjoyed that. And I mean, I remember a lot of things from Scott. You know, he was a dear friend, and it's too bad what happened. I'm sorry.
I'm Patrick. I'm Andrea's uncle, Uncle Patrick. And it's good to be here. And that's from a movie. It never worked. But anyway, I had a vision that I needed to sing this here. I'm not that good of a singer, heads up. And so if this song came to me, and it's about Scottie, Scott, Scottie. And so I'm going to sing it, and if you'll recognize it, sing with me. Okay? Okay, here we go. Do my best. 1, 2, and this is about Scott, by the way. Hey, okay, it fits. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course, and that, of course, unless the horse is a famous Mr. Scott. Go right to the source and ask the horse. He'll give you an answer that you'll endorse. He's always on a steady course. Talk to Mr. Scott. People go yakety-yak a streak and waste their time a day. But Mr. Scott will never talk unless he has something to say. A horse is a horse, of course, and this one will talk till his voice is hoarse. You've never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this. I am Mr. Scott. Hey!
How do you follow that? Scott Bennett, by the way, for any of you who is unaware, was a really cool guy. As a matter of fact, Scott had about 17,000 ways of using the word cool. And we can all see it now. Cool! Cool! Totally cool. I mean, it embodied his whole persona. And he said it, I don't know if it was because he was Native American, part Filipino. They have many languages. But Scottie said the word cool in more ways and applied it to more situations than I have ever heard in my life. And that's what he was. He was cool.
Anyone else? Well, I think I'm gonna bring the room down one more time. It's kind of a last call for any comments, but I'm gonna ask everyone, I promise I will stop talking. So I'm gonna shush I want you all to have just a little bit of information as we're wrapping up. So I'm gonna try. I will shush you again. Is that the line? So, shh. If you help me out, folks, shh. Just for a minute. Just for a minute. I know, we're bringing it down one more time for just a minute. It's important information that I want to share. So, we're bringing it down for just another minute. First off, if anyone else would like to say anything, we have that opportunity still. But I want to make sure that you all know that we're here till 6. We need to leave at 6, so we've got 2 hours left to hang out and meet some new people and say hi to Scott's family if you haven't had a chance to do so. People who would like to have dinner somewhere in the neighborhood tonight, we are encouraging Los Campaneros, which, as you may know, used to be Cashin's. And many of us spent time there with Scott, and we encourage you to go and patronize the place. The family will be having dinner there, and looking forward to spending more time together this evening. I don't see anyone standing in line, so this is great. Enjoy each other. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for being part of this.
will be the last stuff I shoot.
Okay.
So this is the very end.
Oh, wow. So this is the fade to black?
It'll be, yes, fade to black.